I am. We're rolling. How you doing?
How's it going, sir?
It's a 2015 season right around the corner.
And a new season of a new sport. Well, not a new sport.
Well, you're talking about TFO-FF.
Fantasy football.
Fantasy football for a fantasy league.
That's right. I had this brainstorm of an idea that if we were doing TFO, only so many people can be owners. So let's get something going for the people who can.
Yeah. And the winner, we're going to, if there's a spot open in the next season, if an owner does not want to participate next season, the winner of Tecmo Fantasy Football will get first dibs at a team if that's what they desire.
Absolutely.
So I think
participation and trash talking is very much encouraged.
Participate, have fun. We're gonna have a great time. We're gonna draft on the 31st. More details are coming. We're trying to see if we can get it at BW3s. So we'll keep you guys involved. Owners, you guys are more than welcome to come to that event as well and see how your players do. Root them on. That'd be awesome. It'd be Jerry Jones rooting on. What round's Des Bryant going in? Why didn't anybody take Tony Romo?
Who knows? Well, there's reasons to not take Tony Romo.
So
but we're not getting into people like that.
No, we're going to talk about some of the players here. We created a list. We used a hyper algorithm to determine percentiles of what players are going to do, how they're going to be this season, based on their schedules, their playbooks, how available in a play they are, their opponents, everything.
These algorithms may or may not have come from North Korean hackers that I may or may not have been in contact with.
You know James Franco?
I don't know who you're talking about.
James Franco. So, this could be spot on for all we know, but they're projections. And the projections also don't take into injury, and condition is a variable that sometimes people are getting tired.
Absolutely.
You know?
And special teams. A lot of special teams are taken up on other players. Those are going to be scored in fantasy football, and those points will be analyzed here tonight.
They're based on the points we're doing for fantasy football. So if you don't see a lot of your players, if you spread your team evenly, owner, you might not see a lot of your guys on here. But a lot of people who put a lot of points into one specific dude, they're going to see guys, maybe multiple guys.
Absolutely. Let's get to it. We're going to do the top 8 of each of, 5 positions?
Yeah, we're going to do the top 8, because right now we have 8 players. Well, we might get 10, but right now we have 8, so we're going to do the top 8, so you guys kind of get an idea of each player.
Let's start with quarterbacks.
So let's start with quarterbacks. Okay, so the first quarterback here is going to be Mithril Gandalf from the
Mithrandir.
I'm sorry.
His elven given name.
Yes, which means the Wanderer. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct.
All right. So,
I don't know all of my Tolkien, but I believe that is correct.
He's number 1. Tolkien Tecmo Heroes. He's looking like a percentile of 30.92. 9 completions out of 14 attempts and 3 passing touchdowns for 243 passing yards.
And that's per game.
And that's a per game. 4 rushing attempts for 32 yards and a touchdown. So he's looking at doing 4 touchdowns pretty much on his own each game. They're a heavy pass offense. So since they're doing a quarterback gimmick.
Yeah, and they have very high-rated wide receivers as well, as we'll get into later.
Oh, and they have a designed quarterback run. So he's not just sneaking it, he's, it's a planned play. And I love quarterback sneaks because that's when the quarterbacks start getting touchdowns. And in fantasy football, touchdowns are what the points you want,
Touchdowns, first downs, they're all sneaky like that.
So coming up right behind him in number 2 is Jim Beam of the All-American Alcoholics, 24.68 points. They're also a heavy pass. There's also a designed quarterback run in their schemes.
We see a common thread going along a lot of the top quarterbacks here. Jim Beam also, he's been proven. He was in the playoffs last year, if I'm not mistaken.
He was. They made top 4.
Top 4.
And their offense and defense they had the MVP of both offense and defense for Mad. So
beaten by the eventual TFO champion last year, the Normandy Defenders.
Yeah. And Jim Beam was known to run last season. So why is Kevin Hedrick, owner of the All-American Alcoholics, going to change that up? He's going to encourage Jim Beam, who did very well last season.
If it ain't fixed, they're broke. You don't fix it.
I think I have something on Jim Beam here. Yeah, last season Jim Beam had 3,614 passing yards, 48 touchdowns passing, only 4 interceptions. And he rushed.
That's a good ratio.
He also rushed for 440 yards and 5 touchdowns.
That means his receivers are doing a lot to keep him from turning the ball over too.
He's quick. It's a good pickup. He's not just a strong licker. but he's a strong quarterback.
Moving on, third quarterback here from the Galaxy Defenders.
It's going to be hard saying that, right?
It is. Sarah Kerrigan.
Do you know they dumped every player on their team?
I do.
They're still the Defenders, but there's no
I'm well aware of what they did.
Super Bowl champs evacuate them. We're going to upgrade.
I personally was somewhat happy with the result I had last year. Could have been better. Could have been worse.
Oh, yeah, you lost. Yeah. Oh, okay.
But
let's continue.
A few slight tweaks. Kerrigan here, though. Do we have any notes on her? She's a newcomer to TFO.
Did not play in 2013-24 season. Is new to
Fair
TFO.
enough.
I mean, she's
The
noticed.
Defenders, though, they go with a balanced pass. They do go with the balanced pass attack. What about their wide receivers?
Well, I mean, her points are going to be 22.7, and I mean, there's an 8-point difference between her and Gandalf. Like,
right.
there's a big dip there.
Big drop
but she's only 2 less than Jim Beam, so you got to think she's going to be kind of like a Jim Beam style quarterback. She's in a balanced pass with no designed quarterback run, so this is all her passing. 7 completions out of 11 attempts, 3 passing touchdowns, 215 passing yards. It does show her rushing once a game. You know, some of them quarterbacks, even if they don't have a designed run, you know, if they get pressured, they're gonna hit those jets.
Yeah, you get some pressure on you. You try to make a play. You try to get out of there, get out of the pocket. You know, avoid the pressure. Get it to somebody.
She's the Queen of Blades, psychic, infested by the Zerg to become a human Zerg hybrid coming this TFO season.
Number 4, from the Robot Masters, a team that was secret in the original TFO
Yeah,
season.
and now they're an actual team. Somebody made them. Sweet.
The Light Megaman.
Yeah, not to be confused with the 8-Bit Brigade's running back, whatever his first name is, Megaman.
That's correct.
This is Light Megaman. You know, he's the classic, you know, Mega Man, maybe more like Mega Man 7 for Super Nintendo instead of NES style Mega Man.
Probably. Looking like he's projected to make about 21 points a game, just under. No designed quarterback runs here. So this is all him passing.
Balanced pass,
again,
too.
with the balanced pass.
Uh-huh.
You know.
3 passing touchdowns. I mean, all these quarterbacks so far, they were looking about an average of 3 passing touchdowns. This is the last of those. Now the average is going to be about 2. Over 200 yards per game is what he's looking. Maybe a run a little bit, but no touchdown with it. So just your standard good quarterback. And then number 5, Tywin Lannister from Westeros Guardians. They're the 2013 Shiva Bowl champions. He's looking at about 17.5.
Again, with the balanced pass, all 4 of the runs going to the number 1 running back.
200 yards passing. You know, 2 passing touchdowns.
And again, all these stats are just projections per game.
Yeah, I mean, but it looks like even though they're doing a balanced pass, you know, that shows me that maybe their running game isn't that great, I guess. It's a slow pound running game, allowing them to pass more.
More like a West Coast offense.
Yeah, you know.
They use the run to open up the pass.
Yeah. And then speaking of passers, number 6 is Jim Plunkett. We're talking the 2014 offensive.
I have to say,
MVP.
this is a personal I'm going to disagree with these projections in this year. I think Jim Plunkett should be much higher in this list. Only projected at a 16.9 points per game.
Yeah.
In a heavy pass offense where he has a designed run. Plunkett's a runner. We saw him last year snake around linebackers and defensive ends, get into the secondary on a game-by-game basis.
Well, you know what was surprising about these projections to me is that he is projected to do about 3 runs each game. He has a designed quarterback run. Mm-hmm. He's an average of 3 a game for 31 yards, but no touchdowns. Mm-hmm. So to me, maybe the projections were a little low for that. You know, maybe in a season he could get 5, 6 touchdowns. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. The projections aren't there, so I could see him being I don't want to call him a sleeper because he's still in the top 8.
Yeah.
But he is a very underrated. I mean, if you're looking for a quarterback and you're going in a later round for a quarterback,
absolutely.
2014
Plunkett
MVP.
Good, probably an easy, good 3rd, 4th round pickup.
Number 7 here, one of my favorite rookies that are coming into the league. It's Hey Arnold from the Nicktoons Nightmares here.
You go ahead and talk about him. I'm going to grab a beer.
Sure. 16.8, balanced pass. He doesn't got a designed run. I mean, we're in 2 touchdown territory here. Really what separates him from the ones coming up are interceptions. The next 3 coming up have 3 interceptions, 1 interception each. And surprisingly, Plunkett was showing with an interception. So I think maybe that's why he's ranking a little low. I think maybe those defenses have finally caught on to what Plunkett's doing. pass-wise. Run-wise, it might still be there, but maybe, you know. But hey, Arnold's kind of in that same area, but he's just your standard balanced pass. 200 yards a game. That's what we're looking at. So, why don't you take the last quarterback here?
Jim Shock from the Portly Pounders.
Shock! Why can't these vintage Viking guys understand how to say his name?
I have no idea.
This is season 3.
I look at it, it makes sense to me.
He's been the quarterback.
Get your act together,
He's
guys.
been the quarterback for 3 seasons.
A 3-year veteran of the TFO, so he's been proven. And he's done...
Owner and quarterback.
Owner and quarterback. Projected at a 16.6 points per game, also in a heavy pass offense. No design quarterback runs. Obviously, this fat ass doesn't really do much running.
Eats the marshmallows. I mean, look, the interception, I think, is what really hurts him here in the projections. Because, I mean, if you're getting an interception every game, that's 16 interceptions in a season. That's how I look at that. So, I mean, great quarterback if he's not throwing the picks. So, you know, honorable mentions here are Azrothian Assassins, Arthas Menthol, Harmony Bear, who, there's a lot of money in Harmony Bear. I think the Care Bears are kind of underrated in this kind of scenario because even though they're all making a lot of money, they're spreading the ball on the offense because all of them are making so much fucking money.
The other thing about Care Bears offensive players, they're going to be on the field a lot. Their defense is absolute garbage.
So, Tom Baker, rogue dead guy, Master Splinter, just guys you can look at. I mean, the list is going to be there, so...
Yeah, we'll give you the rest of projections, but that was our top 8.
That was the quarterback. Let's go to the running backs. Do you want to take the first running back? I mean, this is going to be such a surprise, right?
Oh, it's a huge surprise.
I mean, he wasn't ranked number 1 in the other video because that was based on salary, but when you build a player, you don't need to build him with as much money as possible. You know what I mean? Spread the love is what I think.
And a player that was built so well the previous year, he almost broke the game. Boner from the Cleveland Steamers.
I got a whole thing on Boner here. 2013 Pro Bowler, ranked 3rd running back. He was the number 1 scorer with 21 touchdowns, tied with Lafin Dumande, who was the MVP that season.
Yep.
And they were the bad conference champions during that. I mean, and you can see the progression of Boner. In 2013, he had 10 attempts for about 100 yards and 2 touchdowns on average. In 2014, he was averaging 16 attempts for 200 yards and 3 touchdowns. This season, of course, in the heavy rush offense that Cleveland Steamers like to pound, we're projecting more rushes for him, 17 attempts, 244 yards. That's 40 more yards than that he got last season. Average of 3 touchdowns, and he's even catching some balls, it looks like. 1 reception for 9 yards. So, they call him the big turd, you know.
Ridiculous that he hasn't been ranked higher and looked at as the obvious number 1 pick overall, by the way.
Yeah, overall. He's number 1 running back. Running backs are better anyway. But
yeah,
43.
Running backs, if you're not taking a running back first, you either got there late or you're retarded.
43.8. He is 5 more points than the next ranked player. That's almost a 10% bonus there. Bonaire is the entire
projected
Cleveland
for
team
40
almost.
Points a game.
They run
number 1 overall.
They run a heavy rush squad.
Enough said. Second one, I actually think is a bit of a surprise coming out of nowhere. The Super Shredder from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
I was surprised at this too. 38.7 in a balanced rush.
Where the wide receiver takes one of the carries away from the running back, not getting them all. Still projected for huge numbers, though.
They're projected him low carries, 8 for 146 yards, which is good average per carry, 2 rushing touchdowns. Oh, by the way, Bo is the only one that averaged 3 rushing touchdowns. The rest of these guys are going to be 2. 2 for the Super Shredder.
I'm guessing
right there.
I'm guessing a bunch of Super Shredder's numbers are going to come A, out of the backfield, and B, yards after contact. This guy's going to break a lot of tackles.
Oh, you think he's like the big man? Well, where is it? He's doing the PEDs, is what I've heard here. The ooze. Have you heard about this PED? Super Shredder.
It's a theoretical thing, but also TFO doesn't give a
in
fuck.
theory, we don't care. Take number 3 here for our running backs. Barry God Sanders. Barry God Sanders. Only 2 less points than the Super Shredder, 36.8. They're only doing a balanced rush, but at least he's getting all the carries.
He gets every carry. He's the guy. Provided he stays healthy, he's going to be looking at about 12 carries a game for $120, 2 touchdowns, catching a few balls out of the backfield too for about 20 yards.
Did you know he did not play for the Greek Legends in season 1? He
Is
was
that so?
He was drafted last season. He had 77 rushes for 887 yards, 12 touchdowns, and 1 reception for a touchdown. And he's looking on par what he was kind of last season. But
he's not projected to really have a breakout year again this year. But, number 3, he's still pretty, a lot better than some of the other running backs here. Number 4, though, newcomer again from the New World Order, Scott Steiner. Big Papa Pump.
Holla if you hear me.
This guy is massive, and he's got to be just breaking through the line. Bunch of runs set up for him here. There is one carry
to the wide receiver.
There's one play in the playbook set up for the wide receiver.
But they're heavy rush. They're going to pound it just like the Steamers.
Yeah.
It's just the wide receivers.
14 carries a game for just under 200 yards and $172. 2 touchdowns.
No touchdowns for the reception though. That's what kind of lowered him. It looks like. Still a great pickup, and you know that Scott Steiner's pretty much their entire team. Holla if you hear me.
Going back to number 5, another perennial good pick, LaFin Dumande.
I think LaFin Dumande is being underrated here. We're talking
Absolutely.
2013 offensive MVP for Mad. He's put up ridiculous numbers in the past.
He did have a bit of a recession last year. His carries and stuff didn't really pan out last year. That was part of the Beer Gods' problem.
I mean,
they leaned on him heavy, and he just didn't have the same kind of performance.
What's weird is in 2013 we had less games, which we only had 11 games. He had an average of 13 rushes for about 145 yards and 2 touchdowns. Last year, though, with 16-game season, and I think this is because, I think it's written here somewhere, he had injuries. I think he got injured early on.
He was injured
but he only had
for a few games. 9
rushes for 153 yards, so he's running about the same yardage and 2 touchdowns. It's just he did it in less carries. So maybe they're doing a little bit more passing over there. I mean, it's a balanced rush system.
Balanced rush. He's getting all the carries. He's definitely the man there in the Beer God Stadium.
I love Ninja Gaiden. Ninja Gaiden. Who cares? I love that game. That's my favorite game of all time. And Ryu Hayabusa, number 6 here, running, jumping off shit. I mean, really, these are really all real close. I mean, after Barry God Sanders, there's about a 4-point dip, and then everybody's just like a point difference. So it's really, what offense do you think you're going to take against what defense?
Right, exactly. Hayabusa averaged about 29.7 points per game projected. Getting all the carries there at the 8-bit brigade. With his type of running style, I would assume outside a lot.
I've been told from the bragging of the Vintage Game Vikings, I mean, it sounds like that offensive line is really well put together. He did a lot of research. He was pissed off how they did not make the playoffs last season. He's pushing reset on that cartridge.
Well, you do what you got to do.
Yeah, I just use a continue. So this guy's underrated too. I think this year the Boxhead Capers, number 7 here, Animal. This comes from the Dwarves owner, Anthony Moyer. And the Dwarves weren't a bad team last season, but their record really didn't reflect it.
The Dwarves had a lot of bad luck last season. A lot of turnovers, very badly timed.
But I believe they were a heavy pass. And
they were a heavy pass. They had ridiculous numbers. Yeah, you look at the yardage for, I believe it was, who was their quarterback?
Warwick.
Warwick Davis.
Yes.
Warwick Davis, ridiculous yardage passing. Decent numbers of touchdowns. But the interceptions late in the game, the safeties that he would take for holding onto the ball too long, killed him in the end.
Maybe that's why Moyer went back to the drawing board. He fired all those freaks and he hired some freaks, Muppets.
Hey, you bring in Muppets.
At
the very least, you have brand recognition.
Someone's taking Animal because they're like, I love the Muppets.
I don't know about the name so much. I'm confused.
Because a Boxhead is like a Muppet itself. So not only does he have the Muppets on his team, but he has, I believe, Sesame Street characters and other like inanimate objects you can shove your hand into and pretend to be. You know what I'm saying?
They're still called Muppets.
He's the Boxhead Capers.
They're just the Muppets.
So, but Animal, I like him. He's heavy rush, but he's also like not taking all the carries.
Not taking all the carries.
That's why Bo is so much better than all these guys because he's taking at least all the carries.
Yeah.
So, and that's why I think some of these balanced rushes are up there too. Like Barry God Sanders, even balanced rush, he's at least taking all the carries. So. Number 8 here. You prepared for Kayden Cooper?
Kayden Cooper.
You know anything about Kayden Cooper?
Wait, Who is just?
This is South Jersey, the Slouches. That's going to be
I almost
not the Slouchers.
The Slouchers.
The Slouches.
Oh,
Slouches.
Slouches.
They were the South Jersey
Get it right. Come on, man.
Well, he used all the characters, so he had to.
All right. Well, then it's Raj's fault. Blame him.
So he was the South Jersey Slashers last season, which were the killers and all of that, right? Fictional and real. So the last 2 seasons they haven't done that.
These guys are a bunch of lazy bums.
So these are his friends. These are lazy bums. He got rid of. I guess maybe he couldn't afford the licenses of Freddy Krueger.
Well, whoever it is, he's still not getting all the carries.
You know what's weird? He's from Voorhees Township. They just got rid of Jason, and they bring in a guy from Voorhees. I
think they got a ringer.
Come on.
But still, he's not getting all the carries. He's only shown to average about 27 points a game.
He's still kind of, even in a balanced rush, the projections are saying he's going to be a big deal. If you don't know Mr. Cooper's name now, you may later.
Yeah. Again, honorable mentions, Share Bear. Again, Care Bear's offensive players are pretty much a sure bet because they're going to be on the field a lot, and they got a ton of stats poured into them.
Junkyard Dog.
We
know what he can do from last season. I still think he was underrated last season too.
He was underrated. So, again, many of his yards are going to come after contact. He's going to shake dudes off all the time. No homo.
Kaz Takagi from the Exo Squad Aggressors. I got to watch me some Exo Squad before the season begins. So I know that they're a cartoon from the 90s. And they made AI, and the AI is now attacking us. Kind of realistic.
Junkyard Dog is your last one that's averaging about 20 points a game, though. So